Greetings, Exiles. This is going to be a post-mortem on my Blade Trap character from Mercenaries. I'm done with the league. I've played since beta and occasionally like to share my builds. And it's partly to raise awareness for Blade Trap because I think it's underplayed. And whenever I'm carrying people, they're constantly asking me what build I'm playing. If we go over to Settlers, we type in Blade Trap 0.0. I'm the top guy here. And then Mercenaries, Blade Trap 0.0. I am the only level 100, which seems criminal. So I guess let's just demo some bosses. I got all the Uber frags here. And then after that I'll do just like a vlog league journey. Like this was supposed to be a Spectral Helix Trap character, but we'll go over that. So it ended up just being Blade Trap after lots of experimentation. Cool, let's go kill some stuff. Start with Uber Maven. This is my least done fight. I've probably only done this fight 10 times. Juice doesn't seem worth the squeeze. It's too expensive to run. The rewards are too gambly. Nobody pays for it as a carry because they can just do the normal Maven and not have to deal with this outrageous price. Oh, I forgot to generate my endurance charges, which is my whole freaking build. I have 11. I might pop out and do that real quick. I know I'm done with the league, but come on. One, two, three, four, boom. Oh, I didn't have to do the memory game. And that's the Maven loop. Nothing, so I don't do it. This guy wanted this. That gives us a mirror shard to gamble. Cool, Maven's done. Let's go to Cortex. Guess I could turn on Witness. Obviously, if I was like a editor, I would just edit this to the bosses, but I'm not going to put that much effort into this. I just want to showcase it for anybody who might be interested. Obviously, it's abusing all of the mainstays, Doriani's, Coiling Whisper. I see a lot of people talking about how good Doriani's is. I think Coiling Whisper's generically more problematic. Be interesting to see what they do with Coiling Whisper, actually. I think, as is, I would have spent 100 div on this ring. So is it going to be the 1% drop chance from Uber, one of the, I don't know. But they either need to nerf it or make it very rare. Out of all the remaining ones, Exarch's probably the only one that will give me like a problem sometimes. For some reason, I don't think his balls count as spells. So he doesn't start like the Trickster regen, or maybe I'm crazy, but that's what it feels like. So we'll just get that out of the way now. These fights also don't really seem worth the squeeze to me. Like, I know people make the one-shot builds and farm this guy, so it's got to be profitable enough, or else the trappers like wouldn't be doing this, but for the miners or whoever the heck is doing this fight now. Yeah, see what I'm saying? They don't like start the Trickster regen, so I have to like actually be kind of careful. I can generally just tank it because I have a lot of regen and blah blah blah, but if I get hit by like 5 balls at once, it's like I can die. Whereas like on the Shaper fight, that just would never happen because like I can just heal completely through all that. Oh, I didn't even use my Diamond Flask. Which adds like 9% crit on POB, which is weird. Wouldn't seem like it would be that much. These don't really sell. Should probably be offering like free completions to people, but I don't really want to deal with that right now. Been doing some free carry services for like a couple days. But for like all intents, or oh, you know what? We'll deal with that in a minute. I guess I should go over, like, it's just Ephemeral Edge, Trickster, Shell, kind of. It's in Frenzy Charge stacking for Badge of the Brotherhood, more so than, because you'll see a lot of Tricksters with a lot more energy shield than I currently have, but I like the Endurance Charge way more. I feel tankier. I don't think there's anything that can kill me on this fight, like outside of just standing and stuff. Yeah, obviously if I like just stand, I don't have enough regen to out-regen the cloud. I tried a couple different Merc setups where he kept dying. This seems to be working okay, and I'll go over like the actual build once I've killed all the bosses. Maybe I'll skip Shaper, because damn, that fight's boring. So at the start of every league, I make an uber elder farmer. So when I'm making, like looking at making a build for the league, the first thing I'll do is go into POB, load the Shaper Slam into configuration, and then see what the minimum point I would need to be able to get to tank basically this fight. And that's been pretty profitable for me. I'm not like Big Daddy 2 mirrors a minute kind of a situation, but I can get, you know, original sins and stuff like that if that's something I'm interested in. Sometimes I'll slot in Frost Bomb to help with the regen, but damage is so high at this point that it just doesn't matter. You could take the no regen like marked thing too. There's some Pantheons and stuff, but you could anoint that last rites thing, wherever it is. I swear it was over there, but oh, right there, yeah. But normally I'll be able to do this fight day 3, day 4, depending on just what I'm competing against for gear. But I did Trickster the last 2 or 3 leagues. Before that I did Pathfinder for like 3 leagues. I have ideas for what I would do next, assuming they do remove Dorianis, remove Mercs, blah blah blah, it doesn't matter. I have some ideas I'm pretty interested in exploring. Still with Trickster, I just still think Trickster's, for the core game, which would just be in like up to and all of the Uber completion, I think Trickster is still the best for average players. Even after the nerf, even after the ephemeral edge. After they nerfed all that stuff, I popped it into POB and I was like, this is like completely fine. So, and that was before they were like, oh, you get a Doriani's prototype mercenary with Perkwell's Toe. Perkwell's Toe would have been enough. do an eater. I don't do this fight very often. Again, falls in the juice doesn't seem worth the squeeze. I've never gotten like any big hit. The reason I try to be moderately close, oh shit, to the boss is no. Flesh and Stone is why I was like trying to hang out near the boss. And obviously the build at this point is quite expensive. But this is the build I used to farm all of the money to make it this expensive, so probably swap to this around 30D on like day 4-ish. I actually started as a Pathfinder, did some heist for till like day 3 or something, and then day 4 I rerolled to Trickster. And then luckily my buddy was running Breachstones for profit, so I was able to just level up super quickly with him on the second character. Got the character like level 90. Core stuff to really make the build to where you could do Uber Elder. I was using it like the Anathema Trader setup to start, but you have to have Replica Badge of the Brotherhood. It's basically the build, which is like kind of a shame because there's other cool amulets in the game. But I mean, you got two options. You can, if you want to do this kind of stacking, you got to be a Trickster, or I mean, you got to use Badge of the Brotherhood, or you got to be a Slayer. And I typically don't running bosses this way isn't profitable. You would never just have all 7 fragments and run all 7 Ubers. It just doesn't make sense. Some of the bosses you can just farm for profit. I think Cyrus. I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about Eater and Maven and Exarch, but those just seem like money dumps. And the other 4 seem fine for profit. And then this build's terrible at mapping, just awful. I use Grasping Vines. I use Grasping Vines on a lot of the builds I play, which you know, people hate Grasping Vines, so you have to get used to breaking them with Frostblink to like continue on normally. Obviously here I'm getting a lot of my movement speed from the Mage Blood. I was using, for a lot of the league I was using Blood Dance, which gives like 55% movement speed with my current setup, and it's actually like maybe not a meme. I was using them for a long time because they make you do 300% more damage when the enemy's on low life, which is quite a bit. In a lot of bosses, that would be the time when you want to be doing the most amount of damage. But then there's also Cull, so you're really only doing 300% more or increased damage for 40% of the, roughly 40% of the boss's HP. I hate this fight. Last league I'd never switched to Mage Blood in Settlers. I just made my guy, he could do everything, like at least all the Ubers and stuff, like the quote core game. I don't think the character's good enough to do most of the Valdos maps. Obviously it's not. When I see people posting or Big Daddy saying you need 4.5 billion DPS to do some of them, I'm like, we're not even playing the same game. I can beat the game, but I can't, like, you know, do any of that, which honestly is a little bit discouraging. It's like, oh, you have to play these crazy mirror stacking builds to do like the full game. But, you know, still cool. And that build does seem cool, just expensive. I would even use that helmet in this build that all the armor stackers are using. I guess that's obvious. Tide's time. Alright, cool. Killed everything. Oops. I don't know how fast we killed them all, but I'm gonna load up we can leave that on. Uber Elder for fun, talk about the build, and then do a little gambling, and that will be probably the end for me, unless I play some group found with some of my friends, which we are talking about doing. Okay. Build. Oh, let me move my camera. Oops. I'm using skins, obviously. I'm not using Abyssus. Standard ES helmet, cool. Standard high ES evasion body armor, cool. Expensive ring. I didn't finish crafting it just because, as you just saw, I was able to do everything. So, how much motivation do I have to really finish like crafting stuff? It's pretty low because the shield's not done either, but it's got everything I want on it. It's +1 frenzy charge shield, max lightning res, cool. Suppression, cool. It has everything I want, but just lower tiers, and like how much do I really care? Same ring, double implicit, frenzy, good. Coiling Whisper with discipline. This was like 29D, good. I bought this for like 120, maybe like maybe 140. I don't remember. Earlier on, now it's, I don't know, probably quite a bit more than that. This shield I bought for 35D, pretty recently actually. So I think you can still get these. Replica of the Badge of the Brotherhood. I spent 100D on this thing just because I wanted the additional curse. Before I had this additional curse, I was using a triple curse setup on my Merc, and then I popped it into POB, yada yada yada, and determined that Assassin's Mark is just better, and the only way I could use Assassin's Mark is if I, one, got the Corruption or went to Whispers of Doom. I didn't really... Whispers of Doom is a conundrum, right? Because it's always right there. It's always just 4 points away. And it's good. Like, I would maybe even take it now. Maybe I should take it now to use Punishment. Because then I could get Debilitate and the increased damage when the enemy's on low life. And that probably is good. I value Debilitate highly. But is it worth 4 talent points? Because I could like take a Heartseeker wheel away and then get Punishment. But I don't know. You're always battling with that little section. Keep going over the gear. Architect's Hands, +1 Frenzy. These took a while to get. Obviously I would want +1 Frenzy with attack crit or +1 Frenzy with cast. Obviously we're scaling the throw speed with Coiling Whisper. I was skeptical about this at first. In fact, I spent a long time trying to automate the curse to make this thing work. And then eventually I just realized you don't need to do any of that. You just can cast a curse manually, and then you'll get the benefit as long as you're just not casting the curse super often. So what I've been doing, actually, I'll show you real quick, is the bear trap's on a 4-second cooldown. So a lot of times I can just throw out all my bear traps, and then I'll just use it basically as my timer for knowing when I need to cast the curse again. So, okay, and you don't even need to cast it that often, but it's just like a nice, when you have 250% increased cast speed or whatever, it doesn't really matter. You just do your curse, throw your traps, and then you just keep kind of watch it, do your curse, throw your trap, and then it keeps it basically full time. And it doesn't feel bad, and you don't need to automate it, and all these Trarthus Bladefall things I don't think are necessary. Weapon, Ephemeral Edge, nothing special here, just a max rolled Ephemeral Edge. Mage Blood with this badass Bloody Vengeance skin. Don't really need to go over that. It's Mage Blood, it's good. Boots, high energy shield boots. No movement speed, but again, since I'm typically just in these bossing arenas, I don't care really that much about having movement speed. It's nice, but I get like a little bit of it from the Silver Flask, and frankly I just Frostblink around a lot, and I can then flasks obviously, and if I really wanted more movement speed I could just do that, or I could go put on boots with movement speed. I'm using a ton of unique jewels, like 9 or something. Balance of Terror, okay, yeah. So around the same time that I realized I don't need to automate the curse setup, and I just need to cast it occasionally, and I get 45 stacks of Soul Eater, the obvious thing is Balance of Terror. And I was looking through, there's a bunch of good ones. This isn't, I got this thing for like 50C or something insane. It gives me crit immunity, and all-res and crit multi. This thing is insane, and all I have to do is push Enfeeble every once in a while, and I get Soul Eater and all of that stuff. Crazy. Like I don't know. I think this is a very problematic ring. As long as it's in the game, probably every build I play will be built around it, and I mean as long as it's in the game. Like if it's 150D, 200D, I'll just save up, buy it. That'd be, you know, first week or whatever. So I don't know, problematic. Come up, obviously Balance of Terror, Light of Meaning. I bought this. This is 80D here or whatever. I bought this for 6D on like day 4, and like at the time I was like I should buy more of these, thinking that they were. I thought they were gonna go to 12. So I was thinking about buying them at 6 and selling them at 12. I didn't think I was going to be able to buy them at 6 and sell them at 80. I would have just only done that. But, you know, whatever. I think the forbidden right of self-sacrifice or whatever is a major reason that this is so high. And you know, you don't know. Like next league there could be no ES builds. And Watcher's Eye. I could get a better one. Pretty good though. I should probably divine the total mana cost up to 10, but whatever. I am a big fan of Nature's Patience. I use it on basically all of my builds. It's just so good. And more, it says while stationary, okay? What else do we have while stationary? Okay, take less physical and fire damage while stationary with Arctic Armor. Great. Pantheons. Take 9% less physical damage while stationary. Regenerate life while stationary. There's some cluster jewels that have some effects while stationary, but like the upside to being stationary is crazy high, because you take 10% less damage here, 21% less fizz here, which is a weakness of the build, and then you get more of the less from here. So it's like another reason I don't need movement speed. Why would I want to be running around when I can Frostblink and just stand? So the goal, you know, it's kind of the goal is to get all the benefits from being stationary. This setup's really cool. I looked at Timeless Jewels a lot, and I ended on this one. It's got 4 of these, 10% increased damage per endurance charge. So 440% increased damage. And then allows me to get static, and then I'm using the Impossible Escape on whatever this node is to give me static blows and the other 2 endurance charge. So it seems like pretty efficient. I mean, You give up 2 jewel slots and whatever, some passives, and you get 440% increased damage plus static blows. And then seems good. Actually, I don't know. This has been such a good setup for me that right when I made the switch to this setup, just out of curiosity, my damage was so noticeably higher that I was like, damn it, am I going to work this into every build now? We'll see. Because I still have interest in some of the other timeless jewels, but this setup is really good. And there's a couple other spots that are pretty appealing. You know, lightning damage, crit. I just don't think I have the points. 3 passive voices, obviously expensive. I used a 5 passive for most of it, and instead I dropped just this assassination wheel. And honestly, you could get rid of this assassination wheel. You could get rid of this Heartseeker wheel. You could probably get rid of this Written in Blood thing. If you were, you don't even need to do any of this. I don't even know if it's the right thing to do. It's just what I did. If I were to continue to play, I'd probably add another one of these over here, and then add like a rare jewel in of some kind, I guess. Coming down to here, the only mastery on the whole tree that I really would want that I don't have is, well, there's some, but the main one would be that recover 5% ES over 1 second when you take a physical damage. Because great, but look, I'm AFK in the Uber Elder fight. Do I really need the extra regen? I don't know. I think that's kind of the rundown. Things that I did, sometimes I'll step into 1 step ahead just when I'm farming to move a little bit faster, but Polymeth is more damage. And then if there's petrification mods, you can step into 1 step ahead, which is nice. Oh, it looks like my battery's dying. I gotta swap it. Okay. But on the... So this was intended to be dual ephemeral edge. I was going to dual wield them and throw, because I saw the helix trap throws 2 traps if you're dual wielding. Okay, great. We swear 2 ephemeral edges. And then it would throw 2 traps, and the damage effectiveness is double that of blade trap. So I thought 2 times traps, 2 times damage effectiveness, this ephemeral edge helix trickster is going to be the bee's knees. Didn't work out that way. The traps, when you throw 2 of them, they don't necessarily land where you want them. I came down here, I had, you know, point blank, I had slower proj, I had the slower proj mastery, the gem, and I was convinced I could never really get the helixes to hit more than twice, and it needs to hit 3 times to be better than blade trap. So then how could you solve that? Well, the obvious thing to get the 3rd hit would be Nimbus. So then for a minute there, I might even have a video. In fact, I know I do. So the idea for a minute there was to maybe, could I get Fury? This is a totally different build, like Fury Valve with Nimbus. So the Fury Valve has an interaction with Helix and projectile weakness, or whatever the curse is called, where when it hits, it will split, and then Nimbus will pull them all back. So I think that is actually the direction you have to take with this. You would probably not be Ephemeral Edge, it would probably be Slayer, because I don't know if you can see it, but the first Helix hits the boss, it splits into 5, all 5 return to the boss. So in this instance, it's hitting 6 times, which is more than 3 times, which is better than Blade Trap on paper. And like, I killed all the bosses, like the Ubers, with this setup, but it's just not better than Blade Trap. It's less tanky, it's less damage. It feels like less damage. But I think if you could go the maybe Slayer, maybe life-based, do this setup like this, and like really scale it, maybe even go Poison. There's something there, but I don't think it's I don't think it's Ephemeral Edge, and it was a bummer because this is the main ability I wanted to play. But you know, you start playing a build and it sucks, and then you got to make decisions. Because I think it looks better. I think Blade Trap is not the most attractive ability to look at. Like this Spectral Helix looks a lot better. But it is what it is, I guess. I believe I kill him fine. Yeah. Oh, Merc dead. Obviously, Merc dying sucks because you get a huge amount of power. But I think this could be cool. I don't know. I think somebody will figure out. I don't even know if anybody's looking, but maybe somebody could figure out a Slayer version that doesn't rely, because my build has to use Replica Badge of the Brotherhood, so I can't afford to use Fury Valve. But I think you could do a similar type of setup with Slayer and not be stuck with Fury Valve. Maybe there's another class, I don't know. The Spectral Throw Trap is fun, but it's obviously not better than Blade Trap either. I think both Helix and Blade Trap could be powerful in confined spaces if you could get the hits to stagger somehow, like hitting the walls and bouncing back at different times and blah blah blah. So maybe it's good in Delve and stuff, but for like these fights, they don't really bounce off the walls. They just kind of go away, and then it's like, where am I going to fit Nimbus? Is it Nimbus better than Coiling Whisper? I don't think so. Is Nimbus better than a +1 Frenzy Charge ring? I don't know about that. Maybe. And then without additional support, I think the Helix is only hitting. I swear it's only hitting once. And if you have Nimbus, it's hitting twice, and it needs to hit 3 times to be better. So you'd have to give up your ring. And if it's hitting 3 times, it's barely better. It needs to really be like the Fury Valve setup where it's hitting like 7 or 8 times. So that's a different build. I don't know. Maybe I could explore that. I don't know. It's interesting. Spectral Throw Trap I used for clear quite a bit. It's okay. It's kind of fun. I also don't know if it's better than Blade Vortex or Blade Trap, but it's okay. But maybe there's a world where there's walls and the hits are staggered in a way that both are better than Blade Trap. But where is that in the game? It's probably Delve, maybe. And as far as I can tell, neither of the abilities interact with Frostball. And then once I determined that I'm just going to end up on Blade Trap, then I started experimenting with the Savior Blade Flurry Pyroclast Mine shenanigans. And then I was using the whatever the helmet is with Ancestral Bond, where I don't know, Widow Hail? No. Man, I cannot remember what that's called. But regardless, I was trying to make Blade Flurry work, but it was too clunky. I was cycloning around. I was trying to throw Pyroclast mines down. They only lasted for 7 seconds, or like 6 seconds. So I'm like cycloning around, spawning corpses, throwing mines, cycloning, throwing mines. The damage was okay, but the playstyle was trash. Again, I think I killed all the Uber bosses with that setup, but it was just, for me, the playstyle matters a lot. And it's more specifically name locking matters a lot. If I'm going to be farming the same boss like all day, I don't want to have to like actively be playing. I know that sounds lazy, but it is kind of lazy. Like what's really nice with this setup, let's see if I can get rid of some damage. And a lot of other builds. And so this is specifically why I don't like using Leap Slam, is because it breaks your name lock. But let me take out. Get some damage taken. Where's the boss? So like, see how I'm throwing, or I'm not throwing. Got my son playing a game that's kind of like Spyro. He's doing pretty good. Just turned 5. The name lock. So Shaper's right here. Cool. I put my cursor on him. I start attacking. And now, as you can see, I can put my cursor wherever I want. Top left, top right, etc., etc. But I'm still throwing traps at the Shaper. And why does this matter for me is then I'm free to just frostblink wherever I want, and I'm just doing damage the whole time. So all the blade traps are going, but my cursor's down in the bottom right, so it's like I just, oh, something important's about to hit me, frostblink. Oh, something important's about to hit me, frostblink. And it's been utilizing this tech for so long that it just feels better than a lot of the other playstyles. I'll play builds all the time where I'm like, this just feels awful. Um, so I like to be able to feel matters a lot, like I said. But I think I guess we could look at the POB. Or I could try to beat him on a one link, which I obviously would be able to. When I'm starting like early league boss carries, this is kind of what the damage looks like. Like this wouldn't be super far-fetched. And I would consider this perfectly adequate. As long as he dies, and you probably would want maybe a little bit more damage than this, but he'll still die, and that's really all that matters. And then I guess a quick POB, and I'll be done. And then maybe it was a fun lake. POB, I'll link it. Um, as you can see over here, the max hit's pretty good. Blade traps 12. I don't know. Who knows? The throw speed is somewhere in here. It's like 6.42. So what, am I throwing 12 reasonably out at a boss, 15, 20, like I can hit the cap. Sometimes bosses just melt. So this count, I don't know. What I do know is it's enough. So if it's 15, great, 44 million. If it's 18, great. And there's some conditionals I currently don't have checked. But we'll just leave it at like 12, which is super reasonable. Configs, got a 30 shock. I can get 30 shocks on the boss. For some reason, it doesn't ever seem to go really above 30, even though I have like shock effect and stuff. Uber Pinnacle, obviously. I'm getting exposure from actually Wave of Conviction in my helmet when I do, well, two ways. When I do focus, it triggers Arcane Surge, which actually helps the build, which is cool. There's other ways to do Arcane Surge, but I kind of just ended up being on this. And then the Merc also does exposure with, he does Intimidate, Exposure, and Malediction, potentially. And I have him with Dazzling Strikes to make him blind more often, to apply the Malediction more often. I think these things are probably reasonably up enough, because I'm teleporting on top of the boss with my Merc, he's attacking, so he's applying these type of things pretty often. But yeah, Merc's just all around excellent. He's at negative. Oh, this is what I was talking about, where that's funny, because I wonder how much it was bugged out the whole time. But if you re-equip the ring, it fixes, which is very annoying because you won't notice. To be playing for like an hour and your Merc is only like negative 50 res instead of 186, which is a huge difference. Enemy blinded, but yeah, down here I have Soul Eater on, obviously. Your Merc, your damage is lucky. I'm basically always teleporting on top of him, so I think these are reasonable. He's got Purity of Lightning. So this is where I get my Purity of Lightning from for my Melding of Flesh. And if you scroll down, I have conditionals that I don't have checked. Enemies blinded while you have Malediction, so if I turn that on, DPS goes up 2 million or so. Smite, I don't know, he does Smite, I'm sure it adds some amount of damage. Intimidate, you check that up somewhere. That adds 3 million. And then Doriani's, which I have in the negative 199. Is he 199? No, he's 186. I changed rings recently. He was 199. I tried to make him tankier. Um, but you could easily get that to 200 if you wanted to play a little bit more and invest some money into that. But I'll just turn the Intimidate off, Malediction off, just because they're conditionals on the Merc. Things I might change, he's not using Comb's binding, which would be nice. The build's weakness is fire or fizz damage, over as you can see. So if I just turn that on, great. It takes the hit up like pretty considerably. But I don't know. It's a conditional, and my Merc seemed to die a lot when I had it on because then I wasn't getting the 283 life per second from this belt. So that would need some further experimentation. But I'm sure that probably is the way. And then Arcane Surge you can get. There's a cluster jewel called like Arcane Pyrotechnics or something. I don't know, but it would give you Arcane Surge full time instead of like the 30% of the time that I have currently. But then I have to work in a medium cluster or a Megalomaniac. And do I want to do that? Like maybe. But again, the build's like done. So what do you do with that? But that's it. Again, kind of not really a build guide. Just a fun league. Character is probably, I don't know, 600-700 divines at this point. But if I were to do it like the way I did do it, is I was trader and about a 30 div swap into trader, and then I just farmed Uber Elder or Uber Elder until I eventually switched to Tides of Time. I was trying to do that like weird tech down here where you have a tincture up with an enduring mana flask with that militant faith. That worked pretty good, but then as soon as I switched to this setup, I was like, oh, this is the setup. This does way more damage than a 200 pen tincture that appears to have some diminishing returns with Doriani's. But that tincture tech is pretty cool, and there is a tincture, another unique tincture that I have my eye on for the future, which is the Grasping Nightshade. I think this has my number. If I'm gonna figure out how to make this work eventually. Like once all the lightning shenanigans get nerfed, that's probably like a direction I would go. But yeah, cool. I'll link the POB. Fun league. Oh, we should do real quick. I'm gonna gamble a mirror card for fun, and that will be probably we'll sell it. I'm gonna do a couple more free boss carries before I sell the character off, and then probably just gamble mirror cards. And then hell, if I get a couple mirrors, maybe I'll make an armor stacker, but doesn't seem likely. This is a fun league though. I like the mercenaries a lot. They have the problem that we're gonna face with these mercenary problems if they go core is, we'll just say they take Doriani's out of the game and Perkles out of the game. Cool. You're just gonna come up with a new setup, and then you're always gonna build around the mercenary because it's gonna always be so powerful that you'd be an idiot not to build around the mercenary. So, assuming it lives, if we end up in a position where they nerf the Merc so much that you need to be using links and like serious investment to keep him alive, maybe you won't see it as much, but you still would if Doriani stays in. If the difference was I needed to spec into link skills and like link him and keep him alive through weird shenanigans, and the upside was I gained 200% negative lightning res, the ring broke again. So dumb. Um, you would. Let's say you had to give up 20 talent points. 20 talent points is worth 200 negative res. So, yeah, it's a problem. But there's other things clearly on the dashboard that are a problem, and I think most people would continue to abuse the Merc in some way, shape, or form. So, but I do like him. I was a big Uber Tristram farmer in the Diablo 2, so And I would have a Merc, you know. I like the idea of them. I like having something else to throw currency at, but I think it's going to be hard to balance correctly. And maybe them being OP is the correct balance. Um, we got a unrequited love. We'll do that to end. Do I want to ID this jewel? Sure. Let's ID this jewel too. Purity of Fire, I don't think is terrible. Nope, it is. Yeah, this thing is not good. And let's duplicate the unrequited love. Poof. GG. But cool. Hope you guys have fun with the rest of the league, and I will probably just be back for next league. Switch back to playing Dota and some other games, hanging out with my kids and stuff. But peace.